Her voice was flat when she said it, like she was talking about the weather. "I'm not introducing you to my wealthy friends. You're too embarrassing." I didn't respond. I just watched the way her hand trembled slightly as she set down her glass. She thought I hadn't noticed. She thought she'd buried the cruelty beneath casual disdain. But cruelty has a scent. I can smell it before the words even reach me. I sat there, still, my face the mask I've worn for years. The obedient husband, the silent one, the man who doesn't fit. Inside, though, something broke. Not loudly, not with rage, but with the quiet click of a lock opening. She left the room, humming. My humiliation was a melody she carried with her, and I sat alone, staring at the untouched drink in front of me, already calculating. It wasn't just about her friends, it was about her. I replayed her words later, lying in the dark beside her, the subtle distance she'd grown comfortable with. The way she turned her body away from me in sleep, as though even in dreams she couldn't risk proximity. There were whispers in her tone lately, conversations I wasn't meant to hear, a strange pause when I entered the room, a smile that wasn't mine. I told myself not to be paranoid, that I was imagining it. But paranoia is simply the brain's way of detecting patterns before the heart dares to admit them. I started to notice details. Her phone, face down on the table. Her sudden charity events that didn't appear on any calendar. Her new perfume, the kind she never wore for me. Humiliation. That was the taste in my mouth each night. Not anger, not yet. Just the metallic aftertaste of betrayal I couldn't prove. So I did what she would never expect. I became methodical. Her phone bill arrived one morning while she was out. A list of numbers, repeated at odd hours. I copied them down. I didn't call. I just waited, let the names surface through quiet searches. One belonged to a man, married, wealthy, a member of the very country club she frequented. I said nothing. Instead, I scheduled meetings. With lawyers, with investigators, with bankers who knew my other name, my hidden one, the identity she never cared to ask about. For weeks I moved in silence, tracing her movements against the background hum of my own plans. DNA kits ordered, discarded, phone records cataloged, financial trails followed. I didn't want drama. I wanted certainty. I wanted to look her in the eyes one final time with knowledge she couldn't deny. The strange thing was, she seemed happier during this time, lighter, as though my silence meant acceptance, as though my obedience was complete. But obedience is just another word for camouflage. The evidence arrived on a Tuesday, a thick envelope from the investigator, photos, receipts, dates, her car parked outside his home, his hand on the small of her back, her laugh, the one she never gave me, frozen in still frames that burned through my skull. I sat at the kitchen table as she came in that evening, humming again. The envelope was already there, waiting for her. She frowned when she saw it. "What's this?" I didn't answer. She opened it. The air left her lungs in a sharp sound, not quite a gasp, not quite a scream. She looked up at me then, eyes wide, searching for rage, for tears, for some eruption. There was none. Just the silence of a man who had already buried the part of himself that could be hurt. She tried to speak, explanations, excuses, whatever fragile threads she thought might still hold us together. I raised a hand, not to silence her, to end the scene. "I understand," I said, echoing my earlier reply to her cruelty, calm, flat, unshakable. The next weekend she dressed carefully for her club's gala, nervous, perhaps, but desperate to maintain the illusion. When she entered the grand hall, she saw me already there, standing by the bar, shaking hands with the board, their smiles warm, deferential. Her face drained of color as introductions were made. "Ah, you must meet the new majority owner," one of them said, clapping me on the shoulder. "A brilliant man. We're lucky to have him." Her lips trembled. Her friends turned their attention to me, their laughter and admiration filling the room. And she stood there, invisible in her own world. The humiliation was hers now. I didn't watch her for long. I didn't need to. Her silence was enough. Her trembling glass, the way she tried to smile and failed, that was the end of her performance. I had no interest in revenge beyond this moment. Exposure was enough. Truth always is. As I left the club that night, the air was cool. My steps were unhurried. She had carved me into a shadow once. Now she knew what lived inside it. I never looked back at her. Some things are better left standing in the ruins they built for themselves. And I walked away with the only thing she could never steal: control.